A little bit early, better to be early than late. So thankful for this opportunity because we had a beautiful class on Shabbos, and I felt like more people maybe would enjoy and benefit from listening to what Miriam Almog was sharing. As I said earlier, I just felt like it's just so on the same page of everything that is so important in our life today. And so we're gonna first start with a part of the class that I gave, and then hopefully Miriam Almog will do her part. And then after that, we have a special surprise. Tiferes is joining, and she will be sharing a beautiful song that she wrote in honor of the month. And wow, happy Rosh Chodesh. May this class be in the merit for Refuah Shlema for everyone and all of the world from everything that's going on. So I pray that the passion and the holy energy of Shabbos continues to give me the strength right now at this late hour here in LA to share something that I felt like I can't wait a day longer because it's just Elul is in the air. We know that the king is in the field, and we know that it's been taught to us that he leaves the palace, the king of all kings, and takes off his crown, as it were, gets down into the field, meets us wherever we're at, and he is smiling at us. And we know that, you know, that he's just like beaming, like he's just like coming to say, I'm here with you wherever you're at. You're my beloved child. I know we've had an amazing year together. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for keep battling the battle. Thank you for what you've been doing to connect to me. And it's really a time of love. That's why Elul is Ani ledodi veledodi li, which is I am for my beloved and my beloved is for me. So honestly, before Chabad Hasidus came into my life, Elul was kind of a bitter time, a heavy time, a shivering, fearful time, trembling time. I don't want to say more of these words, but it was so intense in a different way. And since studying Sichas of the Rebbe, saying how really this month is about God consciousness of how much he loves us, how much he's smiling. And in fact, I remember even learning that he's always in the field, really. It's not just Elul. But yeah, Elul helps us remind ourselves that all year long he's in the field with us as well. And the more I was studying this book, which is Svat HaRivash, which is the testimony of Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, and incredible book of incredible teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, and also Breaking Through Barriers, which is this is from the Rebbe's teaching, and I just felt like there's just so much information that hopefully can begin this month in a positive and amazing way, and remove ourselves from what was. How many times I've said in the journey of our people, we've outgrown the toddler stage of our relationship with God. And right now is a time period where what was important for then was for then, and what is important for now is for now. And it takes the Rebbe of our generation to guide us and show us the way of what is so necessary for us in our service, in our relationship with our Maker, and to switch from, as the Baal Shem Tov teaches, and I want to quote it here, because this is a month, as we've been taught, of tshuva. Like if we do the work in Elul, according also to the Rebbe, then come Rosh Hashanah time, which is the time we crown our king, then we'll have experienced a most joyful 2 months, because we'll have already started the preparation. So Elul time is a time of Hashem, I'm crowning you as king soon. So I just want you to know I'm still committed to you. I still love you. I'm still in awe of you. I'm still so appreciative and grateful to you. And if anything, my tshuva should be, quote, a true tshuva, which means returning to Hashem and having the authentic worship focused on God and not oneself, which implies a joyful pursuit of the service of prayer, of doing more learning, doing more mitzvot, giving more charity, because I'm not going to be self-centered or self-absorbed or so self-conscious of everything I didn't do right that I feel bitter and not feel the joy of the moment and not experience God's joy in coming to the field to spend time in this way, to remind us. I don't expect you to be, more than you are. I know that you did the best you could with the tools that you had at the time. Let's work on our relationship. Let's work on God consciousness right now, instead of the to-do list of what I didn't do and the to-do list of what I need to do better, and then chas v'chalila get into a state of bitterness. Now, it's incredible when you're gonna, hopefully, as we cover this, hopefully full almost hour and more, discussion and delving deeply into these teachings, that your eyes will be enlightened, your smile will grow just as wide as God smiling at you, as we are taught. And we've discussed this before. One of the classes before was modesty in thinking, and really true service is not so much focusing on yourself, but focusing on what are you needed for? What can you do to connect and bond to Hashem? And especially this generation, when the Rebbe here speaks about how important it is to worship Hashem, especially the generation as we're entering the Geula, to have simcha. And if you look at the word simcha and the word Mashiach, simcha has the letter Hey, and Mashiach has the letter Yud. That's the differentiation. Both have Sameach in it. So the more simcha we have, which Hey is kind of a broad letter, which represents the broadening or bringing out. So the more we have simcha, the more we bring out, first of all, the Mashiach moments, which is we have to start practicing to live our life as if the total redemption has arrived, so that we can pull and bring the Mashiach, the ultimate Mashiach stage, into its revelation and actuality. So we see here that simcha is so important. Now, if you look at in the experience of all that's in the world, we've been taught that we're here, and we're here to elevate everything in the world. And we see, the way, the vegetation is eaten by animals, and the animals elevate the sparks of holiness in the vegetation. We eat the vegetation. Then there's the animal kingdom, and the animal kingdom we eat, and as well as everything, that's kosher, of course. And so if we stop and think, what elevates us? What subsumes, as it were, consumes, as it were, us? And that is, of course, God. So the more we have God consciousness, the more we can move away from our heart of pain and self-centeredness and ego and I'm not good enough and self-loathing and like go beyond our like mind as well, the mind that keeps thinking these thoughts that lead to these feelings, and then we lose the opportunity to be God-centered and have that total ability to have God consciousness at on a daily and like hopefully more 24/7 moments, hopefully also in our dreams. So the idea is that
Miriam Yerushalmi had the class. So it's worth over 225.
1 second, if we can. Yeah, thank you. So what we're doing here is, I guess I'm going to announce that everyone should try to subsume their voice and please God, mute that inner avenger that constantly tries to, even especially during this month of Elul, bring us down, bring us feeling bitter, make us feel overwhelmed, and realize we have to subsume all that energy from our having Dveikus with Hashem. And Elul time is about Dveikus. And we're taught actually if you don't keep learning Torah, if you don't keep like having your session with Hashem, whether it's the hidbodedut and talking to Hashem, or if you're you're praying and doing all these things, then it's so easy for your dveikus to wither away. Chas v'chalila. So the learning Torah, especially as we know, it's a spice to like really convert the Yetzer Hara to Yetzer Tov. The more our rational mind is subsumed by our learning, so that we can go above rationality and then tap into what's called Re'uta Deliba. And what is Re'uta Deliba? And what is the difference between using our brain, because we're taught, Da'at Hashem Elokecha, like we're taught that we should know God, that we should study Torah, we should use our rational mind to capture the godly essence of our animal soul with rationality and meditation, and like convert all these negative, energies into positive through our mind. And the more we gaze at Hashem, the more we do these meditations, and then with our rational mind, we get a lot done. But that's not the end point. The step after that is to realize, because as soon as I stop meditating or praying or learning, it's very easy for the dveikus and the connection to Hashem to kind of dwindle, and like there goes the next negative thought, or there goes that next negative emotion, there goes our emunah and bitachon, because we've stopped rationally, consciously thinking of God. And that's like life. The next point in our destination is to realize there's limitations with our rational mind. There's limitations how much we can meditate all day long, right? We have a life. We have to do the physical things of this world. So the idea is that we need to get to the heart of the matter, the deepest essence of our soul, which is lying deep within our heart. And this level, this Re'uta Deliba, cannot be grasped by thought. And it only can be grasped through the will of the heart. Meaning our ability to be able to tap into that deepest bond and dveikus with Hashem, with his essence and his infinite light, is through the heart, bypassing the rational mind, because the rational mind will get us in a muck, and it can in Elul. and make us like feel really like almost not like want to be in this field with the king and not want to be in the celebrating with our majesty in the royal palace also during the high holidays. It could be heavy. It could be so like, I can't wait till we get over it. One of the Devorah Leah Wagshal, when we gave the class yesterday, said, some people think Elul is oy vavoili or something like that, like oy Elul, and like too much heaviness and too much crying and too much bitterness. No, the Rebbe says this generation, it's about simcha in tshuva, meaning thank you Hashem that you forgive me and that you give me another chance. And I'm like, in fact, my sins actually can make me happy. The Rebbe says. Like, because it could remind you that Hashem forgives and that could make you happy. Or even the Tanya talks about it. The lowly you are, the more happy you can be. Because you realize, like, imagine you're a king, in the kingdom, you're like, not you, but like someone, it's like the lowly of low, beggar on the street. And the king comes to visit you there and he actually stays a long time with you and gives you attention and loves you. And you're like, the lowly you are, you're all like, oh my gosh, so happy that I get a chance. So even don't let the Yetzer Hara trick you that you're so lowly and take away your simcha. Like no matter where you're at, you can even achieve even a greater level of happiness because if you are that low, I mean, like, come on, you're not. But like, even like, that kind of mentality you can outwit with rationality and get your Yetzer Hara off your back. So this idea of getting out of your head and into the inner essence of your heart. If you look at the word machshava, first of all, machshava is chashav ma. There's a point in time we have to make your thoughts, chashav, like a ma, like a nothing, we learn Tanya, chokhmah is koach ma, like the power of what? Like the humbleness, the zeroness, the nothingness, because God created the world with nothingness. And so that gives us a key that we have to make our thoughts like a what and say, my rational mind can trick me. I can't totally rely on it. I can't really know that it's true. I mean, one of the Baal Shem Tov's teaching is if something is harassing you all day long, like about yourself or about someone else, because that typically, happens a lot when you can't face yourself or you keep, picking on yourself, like that you're not this, you're not that. Typically, you'll do the same, like with your children or your spouse. So if it's all day long, it's such a big sign that it's such a Yetzer Hara, even if it's dressed up in a cloak of for piety reasons and what have you. So machshava is chashav ma, like make your thoughts like nothing, like a ma. It's like, what is it? It's just a thought. It's not based on reality. It's not the truth of anything and everything. And as we were teaching in another class, where we were learning how, like, if you look at the power of chokhmah, another few words describing what chokhmah is, wisdom is a dot in the palace. Okay? What is the dot in the palace? What? Well, you go to a palace and imagine it's so grand and it's so magnificent, and then there's like a dot somewhere. You're not going to compare the dot to the palace. It's just a dot. It's like nothing. The palace is amazing. So the teaching is that chokhmah is like nothing, humbleness. It's like, and this nothingness, which is connected to the Ein Sof, the or Ein Sof, which is there's just, it's, out of nothingness, like God created the world in a sense. So that's chokhmah. And so the more you actually, work on being like a dot in the grand scheme of things in God's world, the more you have the power to create and be co-creators with. The idea is that the moving away from your rationality, moving away from your thoughts that you're not this, and being subsumed by constant devekas in Hashem's Torah and meditating on Hashem, the more humble that you end up becoming. Because you realize, like, everything is an undeserved gift. Who am I? What am I? Like, like everything, there's a pasuk that says that, here, I'll read it. It says, good-hearted person is always celebrating, which is the teaching of, how to live our life and what's our goal. Our goal is to be a good-hearted person. And in that way, we can always be celebrating. We can always be besimcha as best we can. So what does the Talmud say about this? It refers to a person who's broad-minded, meaning they went away from their head a bit and they're able to go beyond the head, and they've expanded their wisdom to such an extent that it landed in their heart. And again, the end goal of our existence is to reach the pnimiyut. As the teaching goes, yes, we want moach sholet al halev. We want our mind to rule over our heart, our anger, our sadness. But eventually, after that, we want our pnimiyut halev, the inner essence of our heart, to rule over our mind, because our mind is limited compared to the infinite connection that we can have with Hashem. And as the Rebbe points out here, that no thought can grasp Hashem, but he can be grasped through the will of the heart. How do we get to this will of our heart? And that is kindness. And all the mitzvot that we do is kindness to Hashem and is kindness to another. And I'll explain as Tanya teaches us. We all know, and I've been preaching this from the Tanya, that prayers act like a fire and make our body ready vessel to contain God's light. But in order for us to draw down the wisdom of Hashem, we've taught before, you speak words of Torah right after prayer. But what's really the incredible other ingredient is kindness. And of course, all the mitzvot, but especially kindness, because when you're kind to another person, it's like you arouse in you a level of mercy toward them, especially if you're kind to someone who's not so deserving, right? Like, okay, especially in our household, sometimes they did this and sometimes they didn't do that. And you're just like, you don't feel like it, but you go against the grain and you push yourself and you do the act of kindness, kind of b'misras nefesh, because you just don't want to. It hurts. You feel you feel pain. So in Tanya, it teaches us that the kindness then arouses God, the charity you give, the money, the spiritual kindness by teaching and sharing wisdom to someone who doesn't know Aleph and you know Aleph. That arouses God's compassion. And when you arouse God's compassion, he then gives you a greater level of spiritual powers that would not be able to come into this world but for that. As we're taught, we could do 2 or 3 hours of, it's worth it. Yom Yom says to do intensive prayer, learning, and giving charity, all that for the sake of being able to do a kindness with a full and happy heart, so that we can be more God-like and be giving. I mean, that's why we're here, to emulate God's ways. And so, yes, things come our way. And yes, sometimes things are challenging. And I was actually on the phone, Erev Shabbos, with Rafaleh Ismaili, and she was telling me she was supposed to speak for this event. Somehow it didn't happen because there was a glitch. And she was sharing with me, and good, share with me others until you next say it. And she was saying something incredible, like Berg's teaching on like this whole like situation when like things happen in your life that seem very dark and challenging. Rabbi Ginsburg was explaining as with me. I don't know why when I have to learn how to do this. Yeah, so that the Satan actually doesn't like want to come down and like test us. He's like, he really just, because he's carrying part of Hashem's name. In the darkness, there is such a light. In the darkness, there's such a power because the Satan is carrying God's name, part of God's name. So when you're going through an experience and it's so hard, excuse me, whoever's not on mute, that would help a lot because it's a little distracting here. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think it just, yeah. So like, if you like only knew by passing the test, by having your faith, by understanding that this darkness is for a real reason of a lot of light, and you have the ability to override the situation, especially now you're talking about doing a kindness, let's say to someone that put you through a kind of not so good experience, and you're still loving to them and you're still accepting them and you're still forgiving of them, then you can catch this key of God's name, and the light of God's name then becomes a part of this world, part of your world. And in that way, you have the power to really get to that place, you know, of being able to go beyond your head and literally go to the deepest essence of your heart. And that comes from a pasuk that we learn that when you give charity, which includes spiritual charity, sharing knowledge, acts of kindness, loving and forgiving and accepting and tolerating and all these amazing kind qualities about you, please God, then what happens is, you look at the pasuk, it says, tzedek yehalech lefanav, which is interesting. Tzedek, which means righteousness, including, you know, the acts of kindness and all that amazing qualities that you have in your heart. Yehalech is not the right verb. Usually you say tzedek yelech lefanav, not yehalech. Yehalech in the Hebrew terminology is to cause something to go in front. So yes, we do learn that charity is in front of you, like meaning it acts like a coat of chain armor, and it literally protects you. And it protects you from death, and it protects you from the ruach shtus. It really is like a helmet for your head so that foreign and alien thoughts can't attack you. It's really incredible, like what happens when you do this act of kindness. But Yehalech is saying something more, that the charity not is in front of you, but the charity causes something that's inside of you to come in the front of you, which guess what? Of course, it's our soul. Our soul then is able to come out more. And that's how then we have more God consciousness. That's how we get out of our head and the limitations of our head and the ruminations and the foreign alien thoughts and all these kinds of things, like, you know, that helps us breathe through life. You know, imagine, you know, people who, just an interesting mashal that I, you know, came across in one of the Hayom Yoms, and it said that, like, I never knew this, but when you breathe and you do shallow breathing, like only 2 of your lobes actually like get used up in your lungs. And so you don't really have so much oxygen, and then you're like tired and you feel like maybe washed out. And like if you would take some deep breaths, then all of your 5 lobes of your lungs get pumped up with oxygen, and then you're revitalized, then you have more life, and then you feel like alive. So if you think about this in the physical way for your vitality and your strength, how much more so if you breathe deeply in your heart of hearts, the kind of like thoughts from what you've learned, and you filled up your mind with such dvekus, that how much more so this tapping into the inner essence of your heart can give life to all your soul powers, to all of your systems, which is most potent, and allows you to like oxygenate your soul by, you know, getting rid of the toxicity of these alien thoughts, and not letting it to even like come to you. And in this way, more menuchas nefesh, and more peace of mind, and more joy. Now, it takes a Rebbe to help us see through everything, you know, that can be blocking our way to connect in this way. It takes a Rebbe that gives us the freedom to say, you know, we're about to be candlelighting, or we already started candlelighting, like, you know, like Shabbos candlelighting, like we're candlelighting into the Mashiach era. And it takes our Rebbe of our generation to give us full permission, like you're allowed to fill your mouth with joy, which we couldn't before. And why? Because the challenging times, you know, of the pre-era of Mashiach was so dark. So who could, you know, like, you know, have joy? And yes, this has been a very interesting year. And yes, it has, you know, seemingly got harder. I mean, I remember Moshe Rabbeinu, and he's coming as a redeemer, and all of a sudden, like the labor is intensified, and the situation for the slaves were way worse after he came. Like, hello, like, but yet he was the redeemer. And yes, it was about to unfold. So, I mean, could it very well be we're in that stage where, you know, you're about to have birth, and it's the birth pangs, and, you know, that's all we can, you know, really think of. But the more we, you know, get to that good-hearted place, the more we can be celebrating more easily this month of Elul. And I can't even begin to tell you the difference between Elul of before and the Elul of now. And the Elul of now is, thank you, Hashem, for reminding me you're always in the fields. Thank you, Hashem, for reminding me you're always smiling at me. Thank you, Hashem, to remind me, can I forgive myself like God forgives me? Thank you, Hashem. Like, I am so blessed to be able to have the Baal Shem Tov glasses to understand how Simcha b'mitzvah is so much more important. And in fact, when it says the tears, you know, break down the gates of heaven, the Baal Shem Tov says it's the tears of joy that you are able to connect to Hashem, that you have another opportunity to do another mitzvah. That's the tears we're talking about, that poretz getter, that break down the barriers of the heavens above. Oh my goodness, can you see the difference? Can you really like accept this instruction? I mean, there is so much more to say. First of all, when you really are at war with these alien thoughts, like the more you divest yourself of like too much indulgence in the physical world, first of all, the alien thoughts will diminish. Second of all, when you have like achieved this level of devekus by studying Torah, Hashem will like give you a certain level of prophecy, even like that you'll have a certain, it's stated here, like a ruach hakodesh of like how to act and how to be, and things will just more fall into place because you don't have this inner enemy as strong, because you sweetened it up and you turned it from an enemy to an ally. So we have to wake up. We have to have this God consciousness and help ourselves this month not to be self-absorbed and not to connect to a tshuva that's not of this generation. And definitely, I mean, the Baal Shem Tov, how many years ago said it, and how many years have passed since then? And he gave us the permission to be not absorbed in our service of Hashem, and to really move away from that and really be free and really enjoy our time during Elul as the King is smiling at us in the field, and we could have this time together in such a joyful and beautiful way. So I hope my portion gave you a little something of a taste of a different perspective of this month. And I want to now invite Miriam, another Miriam, Almog, who for, I guess, I think it's like a year or more, we've been doing Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Shiurim at different locations. And I don't know why I didn't think of, having it like we're going to have today. So my hachlata for the new year is, please God, every time we do a Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, we will try the next Sunday, like tonight, to do a recording, even if it's 10 o'clock at night, so at least it's recorded so that the whole month, the others can join from all around the world. Miriam, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank you. What you shared was so beautiful that it motivated me to do something about it, because I'm like, it can't be that only the people, although there was a nice crowd, Baruch Hashem, but it can't be just those people listening to your beautiful words. I was just like, it has to be spread. And so please share with us how Elul means to us today in this generation.
Okay. Thank you, Miriam. It was such a pleasure to do the class with you yesterday on Shabbos. So Elul, there's a classic story that we tell every year on Elul about the acronyms that Elul, the word for the month, the name is Aleph Lamed Vav Lamed, Elul. So during this period, we're supposed to be working on 5 different things. And so there's 5 acronyms. Here we go, 5 acronyms that have to do with those 5 things. So the 5 things are Torah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, Teshuvah, and Geula. Okay, so I'll go and explain each one of those and how the acronyms relate, because the acronyms are very, very instructive to tell us exactly what we need to do. So Torah. So the acronym for Elul, the Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed, for that, the verse is, it's a verse from the Torah, and it's Ina leyado vesamti lecha. Okay, so Ina is Aleph, leyado Lamed, vesamti Vav, lecha, the Lamed, Elul. So that verse is actually talking about the commandment of the city of refuge, the Ir Miklat. The Torah is supposed to be for us a refuge. Now, the commandment of the city of refuge is that if, God forbid, somebody by accident killed someone, and it was by accident, but still the relatives of the person who died would be very angry and would have their blood boiling, and they would want to go and they would want to hurt this person, even kill them. So the person would run away to the city of refuge. So Why does this represent Torah? Torah is a refuge. It's a place for us to go when the pressures that are about to consume us almost are taking us over. So if we can get into Torah and we can learn Torah, we can get back and get refocused into what's important in life. We can connect to Hashem in the most deep and beautiful way. And it just brings us to a state of calmness and joy because we're connected to our Creator. We're connected to the most powerful and wonderful force that there is in the entire universe. So during this month of Elul, as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah, we should be learning extra Torah. And I also say that we should be making hachlatas, we should be making resolutions for the Torah we're going to learn in the coming year. So what kind of shiurim are we going to go to? What kind of personal Torah learning are we going to do? And, maybe what are we going to be teaching in the coming year? So it's a time to add extra Torah lessons and learning, and also to make resolutions for Torah for the coming year. So the next one is for tefillah. Tefillah is prayer. So the acronym for that is Ani Ledodi Vedodi Li Elul. I am for my beloved, and my beloved is for me. How does that relate to prayer? So our prayer is supposed to be a time when we connect to our beloved, that Hashem is our beloved. And you know what? We are his beloved. So during Elul, we should really make an extra effort to have more kavana in our prayers, more concentration, and really try to really understand what we're saying and connect to it and get close to Hashem that way. Many people think that, when we daven from the siddur, it's me davening to Hashem. And hopefully he's listening. That's what it might seem on the surface. But if you actually read the words in the siddur, you realize it's very much, I'm talking to Hashem, but Hashem is talking back to me. I'm praising Hashem. I'm asking Hashem for what I need, but he's talking to me. So for example, and this is what I like to do when I have good concentration, is to see what are the parts where I'm talking to Hashem and what are the parts that he's talking to me and I should really be listening. So for example, the morning brachas, when I'm saying, Ozer Yisrael b'gvura, that Hashem girds us with strength, it's Hashem telling me, Miriam, you're strong. You're a strong person. You can get out there and do it. Oter Yisrael b'tifara. You're beautiful, Miriam. You are a beautiful person. You've got so much. So all of these morning brachas, really, they are telling me that I've got everything that I need, everything that I need to have to get out there and take on the world and do my mission in this world. It's like the most perfect set of affirmations. And they're also very focused on, doing the right thing, on doing what's important in life, on serving Hashem. When we look through the rest of the davening, the Pesukei de Zimra, and just all the other parts, there's the part where I'm praising Hashem. Hashem, you are so great. Hashem, everyone should praise you. The whole world should praise you. And then there's the part where Hashem is talking to me. And he's saying, I'll always be with the Jewish people. I'm merciful. I'm kind. I'm going to take care of the Jewish people forever. I'm the one who's in charge. So when I look at it that way and I listen to what Hashem is telling me, then I have so much more trust. And I realize that I'm Hashem's beloved. And he's talking to me, Ani Ledodi, I'm talking to my beloved, Vedodi Li, my beloved is talking to me. So in El, we should attempt to have, more concentration because there's a special energy because the king is in the field that will help us have that higher level of concentration. And also, we have extra prayers that are built into our customs in Elul. For example, in Shacharit and Mincha, we say an extra psalm as part of the prayers called Le David Hashem Ori. To David, Hashem is my light, right, and my salvation. So we say that in Shacharit and Mincha from Rosh Chodesh Elul all the way through Hoshana Rabbah, the end of Sukkot. And we also, in Chabad, we have the custom that normally every day we do say, as our Tehillim part of the Chitas, we say the portion for the day. But during Elul, we're going to say, in addition to that, we're going to say 3 more Psalms. We're going to start tomorrow on Rosh Chodesh Elul with 1, 2, and 3. And then the next day, 4, 5, and 6, until finally by the end of Yom Kippur, we've actually completed the book of Tehillim another time. So we complete it once for the month of Elul, and then at the same time we're saying more, so we'll complete it a second time in by Yom Kippur, and then of course in Tishrei we're saying it again, so we'll have it a third time by the end of Tishrei as well. So that's extra davening. And as I mentioned to everyone yesterday, that the davening during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's so beautiful, and the slichot, the ones where we ask for forgiveness. The davening is so beautiful. The words are so much of a connection with my beloved. And to me, it's just the whole Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur davening is Hashem telling me how much he loves me and how much he loves all the Jewish people. It's just such a powerful time. So davening is a really, really important component of this time of the year. Then there is the third one, tzedakah, and the acronym for that is from the Megillah, and it says Ish lere'ehu umatanot la'evyonim. It's talking about the mitzvah of giving shalach manas to your friends and also giving gifts to the poor. So this is the concept of taking care of each other. Taking care of people who maybe don't really need it, but we're doing kindness to them, and then taking care of people who really do need help. That's the matanot le'evyonim. That's the, helping the gifts to the poor. So the idea in this is that, when we take care of Hashem's children, he will be very, very wanting to take care of us. Anyone who has children knows that if someone does something for your child, that person has a lot of points with you. You are so grateful and you want to help them. So when we help each other, we're all Hashem's children. So when Hashem sees us doing that, he wants to give to us, and he wants to give to us. So it's a time for us to give extra tzedakah. It's a time for us to make extra efforts to be kind to each other, to invite people over, to say kind words, to reach out and connect to somebody. And of course, before Yom Kippur, obviously, we're actually asking for forgiveness. We want to make sure that if we did, God forbid, do something unkind or something hurtful to a person, even if we didn't really mean to, because we don't mean to. But if we did it by accident, that, or even if we did it on purpose, God forbid, we'll go and we'll ask for forgiveness. And when Hashem sees that, obviously Hashem is going to respond in kind, and he'll give us good things, bless us with a good year, and forgive us. This is what we're looking for. So the next activity we're supposed to be engaging in during this time is teshuvah, repentance or return. And the acronym for that is, I'm going to give you just a little introduction to the verse before we get to the Elul part. Umal Hashem Elokecha. Now here's the Elul part. Et levavcha ve'et levav. And then it goes on, zarecha. So what does that mean? It means, and Hashem, your God, will circumcise your heart and circumcise and the heart of your children. So what is this idea of circumcision of the heart, and how does that relate to teshuvah? So the way I like to explain this is that very often we have a relationship with someone and they disappoint us or they hurt us. And so we put a little barrier up in our heart and, we say, they're not going to do that again. I'm not going to let them hurt me like that again, because that really hurt badly. And I'm not going to do it. So you put a little barrier in your heart. That can be with another person, but it can also be with Hashem. When disappointments or challenges come up in life, we can often think, why me? Hashem, why are you doing this to me? I've been davening with such kavana. I've been doing extra mitzvahs. I've been giving extra charity. I've been learning extra Torah. Why did this come up? And so we may have a little bit of a barrier in our heart where we say, you know what, I'm not going to care so much about Hashem because look what Hashem can do to me. Look how he can disappoint me. So when it says here that this is the acronym for Teshuvah, that Hashem will circumcise our heart. Hashem will help us take away that barrier and open us up again to feel toward him all the feelings that are possible, all the love and all the other feelings that are possible for Hashem. And we're going to be open to, maybe Hashem is going to disappoint us again. Maybe he's going to throw something in my way that's going to be difficult and painful and hard. And it's, going to take me away from what I thought was the perfect way of serving Hashem. I thought that me, doing the davening and the Tehillim and the Torah and the acts of kindness, I thought that's what I'm supposed to do. Why is Hashem making it hard? You know what? Hashem has a different plan for me. I have to be open to what Hashem's plan is for me. That all those challenges, those are good things. That means I'm living. Life is all about challenges. Devorah Leah Wagshul also in the Rosh Chodesh gathering yesterday, she said it's like when you go to the hospital and you see that the heart monitor is connected to the patient and it's, blipping up and down, up and down, up and down. That's when the patient is alive and their heart is beating. If, God forbid, there would be a straight line, that means there's no life there anymore. So life is about ups and downs. And when Hashem brings us those things which feel like downs, then we have to accept it with love, not let our heart get covered over and say, okay, you know what, Hashem, another time. No, we have to look at it. We have to embrace it. We have to say, okay, Hashem, I know you're here with me. You want this. You want me to rise to this challenge, and it would fill you with a sense of love toward Hashem and a sense of joy that you are going to really be doing what Hashem wants. He sent you something special, especially for you to rise to that challenge. So that's the circumcising your heart. That's the teshuvah. That's the returning to Hashem, because I'm not on my agenda. I didn't go off on my path now. I'm actually back on Hashem's path. And I've returned and I've let him into my heart. Okay. And then the last one is Geula. Geula is the final redemption with Mashiach. And Elul is really a powerful time. The King Hashem is here in the field. We can tell Hashem, you know what, Hashem, it's enough. It's time for Mashiach. We are ready. Our generation is the generation of Mashiach. Let's have it already. The acronym for Geula is Shira LaHashem Vayomru Lemor. Okay, now that is a verse from the Song of the Sea, which the Jewish people sang when they crossed the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, after being redeemed from Egypt. And the way it's worded, now I'm going to just put a little disclaimer in there that to make it work out to Aleph Lamed Vav Lamed Elul, we had to like transpose to, you know, some of the verses, some of the words in the verse. But that's what it's Asher Lashem Vayomru Lemor from the Song of the Sea. The sages tell us that the way it's worded, Az Yashir Moshe, then Moshe will sing, indicates that there will be a Tchiyat HaMitim, the dead will come back to life, and Moshe Rabbeinu will come back to life, and he will sing the song of praise to Hashem during the times of Mashiach. So during the times of Mashiach, it is going to be an incredible, incredible revelation of godliness. Right now, during our times, Hashem gives his flow, okay? The Dodi Li, he's giving his flow. But for me to really internalize it, I have to like take it and work on it and make it my own. Otherwise, it can just kind of flow in and go over me. So it's likened to, let's say I have someone I really love. Let's say it's my husband, and I decide I'm going to make a big surprise for him. And I'm going to cook his favorite dinner, and I'm going to get the house ready and put the candles and flowers and just make such a beautiful evening for him to show him how much I love him. And he comes home and he's exhausted, and I'm all excited. And I have the dinner and I have the candles. And he says, you know what? I'm exhausted. I just want to go to bed. And he goes to bed. Wow. And I'm thinking, what was all my effort about? You know what? This is how Hashem feels. Many times Hashem is wanting to give to us so, so much. But we are not, just naturally, the way it is now, we're not always open to it. We're more, you know, focused on our own needs. So if I feel like davening, I daven. If I'm not davening, I'm not always so open. If I want to learn Torah, I learn it. But if not, it's not always coming. So in the times of Mashiach, it will be this synergy that I'm going to always be in the mood. I'm going to always be ready. When Hashem wants to give, I'm going to be ready to take. It's going to be instantly absorbed. It's going to be so powerful. We're going to have such a knowledge of Hashem. It's going to be like almost a new Torah. That's why it says that in the time of Mashiach, Torah chadasha mi'iti tetzeh. A new Torah will come forth from me, says Hashem in the prophecy. Because it's not really a new Torah, it's just that we are going to see a whole new revelation of Torah, a whole new revelation of Hashem. And so for this reason, during this month, when the king is in the field, we should all really be davening for Geula, for the redemption, and through our Torah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, Teshuvah, and Geula, we will, God willing, merit that this year already we'll celebrate together with the Geula Shalema, the full and complete redemption with Mashiach in Yerushalayim. So that's basically the content of what, you know, I gave over yesterday. And I can send it back to Miriam.
Oh my goodness, amazing. I can't tell you, I'm glad that more people had the chance to hear those beautiful words. And I'm just all over again re-inspired. And I pray that Hashem give you the strength and all the health and all the brachas to continue sharing so beautifully the way you do from it's just, you feel the Emes. You feel, I don't know, just like, who needs a massage? Like you listen to you and it's just so calming, everything that you say and the way you said it. So I just bless you, my dear sister. Thank you for joining at this wee hours of the night here in LA and jumping, even though you have a busy day tomorrow. All of us celebrating good news, please. All of us. Thank you again. Okay, so we'll be together again, hopefully next Rosh Chodesh in Yerushalayim, giving a shir together. Thank you. So now Tiferes, I don't know, like I was thinking it's Rosh Chodesh, let's celebrate, let's be in a happy mood, let's have like almost like a Seudas Hada'ah right now, in preparation for really good news tomorrow. Someone very dear and close to me is having a surgery, and I decided, why not do something extra special to gather women together and to have just like a celebratory energy of more and more good news for all of us. So, Tiferes, I don't know if you're on, but would love to have you join us. So sorry, I told her probably around, maybe I might have told her the wrong time because I was thinking we were going to be finished. Okay, let's see if she's here. Oh my gosh. It might have been my mistake when I was calculating all the hours. So so Karen Miller is here. I also wanted her to be on board. So until Tiferes comes, because we were going to do Karen Miller after, but I didn't get in touch with her in time. So, are you able to join and share some chizuk here? So happy you did get the message, at least that we're all together here. I just didn't realize if you were able to do it, so I didn't have a chance to even organize it. I decided I don't know, at 4:00 this afternoon today, I think it was. Karen?
She said she's not able to speak now. She wrote a little chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1 second. Just to make sure if she is or not. I'm going to text her 1 second because she might be able to do it right now. She just may not know it. And she'll probably bless me that we're doing it earlier.
And somebody raised their hand.
Yeah, I wanted to know if I should text Tiferes.
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
I'm trying also. But in the meantime, we also could do a meditation until she comes. Okay, great. So I just texted her. And she when I reached out to her, I was like, she was sharing with me that she put together a song, and I'm like, oh my goodness, could you please join us? Who is a late night owl here in LA that could really make this into also of her bring-in style? So before we see if she can come on, is there any questions before we begin a meditation? I'm going to also ask here on Facebook. I see people are joining and have been on. Wow, Hishgacha Pratis. I'm so happy that whoever is watching on Facebook was able to benefit. Okay, so any questions? I'm going to check the chat. Okay. So, first of all, I just want to say to you that many, many years ago, when I used to go weekly to Great Neck, every time I ended a class, we did a meditation. And certain other places that, I would end a class. And recently I remembered, I'm not really doing them so much anymore, and I thought, yeah, it's so needed. It's so much the highlight of really helping integrate and really feeling what we've learned. And so I was talking to my friend who, used to come to my classes in Great Neck, and every week we would do a meditation after. And I told her, wow, I have not been doing it. So I should get back on track with that. Many of my meditations are on Torah Anytime, and Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Chana, for putting the Zoom together and for making the flyer and for putting a lot of my YouTube channel classes on the website, yournewheights.com. So there's many meditations. I just always feel like, oh, okay, I've done them so people can get to them. But like, I really have a new resolution, at least when we're on Zoom and on Facebook, to try to remember to end the class with a meditation like I used to so many years ago. So much so I remember in the beginning, like I would do it in different places and people would like look at me as if it's like, you know, what are you doing? Oh, thank you. Somebody asked for the names of the books. Breaking Through Barriers, incredible. Like these are some of the top books that I always read, especially when there's some challenges coming and I need to like break through the sadness or the thoughts that are starting to like, you know, try to plague me so I can get back to Simcha. Such an incredible book. And it's a very short book and it's so powerful. It really helps us get to that tshuva ila'ah and gives us the permission to do the tshuva with joy and move away from the bitterness of the tshuva that a lot of us attach ourselves to. I mean, I remember learning, again, the Rebbe's teaching, if you look at the Tehillim and you see like 5 sentences long of bitterness, and this is like David HaMelech, how many years ago? And then he switches to joy, full sentences. So the Rebbe brings out, you can look at David HaMelech even, he doesn't but stay in that bitter state, but 5 sentences long. And now, thousands of generations after, right? Like how much more so it shouldn't even be 5 sentences long of bitterness. And the Rebbe explains like a pill that is like given to someone who's ill, let's say a penicillin. I happen to be allergic to penicillin, but like, and if you're going to take the penicillin all day long, it's just, you know, really not going to be good. It's dangerous actually. So there's certain designated times you take that, you know, medication, and that's going to work for the person. But if they take it all day long, so there's certain times if you're gonna like do the bitter thing, like one, if you happen to already be sad, well, the Tanya teaches us, then happen to do tshuva, then, you know, if you're already, you know, sad or you're already bitter, like use that energy for a profit, because, you know, like, and that actually is like a recipe, so of almost like a chill pill to help you get out of that state. But, you know, a little bit at the end of the day where you do your Ashamnu Bagadnu and you like do Cheshbon Nefesh, you do accounting of your soul, you know, you could do it in a serious and kind of, you know, bitter way that, oh, how far I am from you, Hashem. But really right now it's about, you know, recreating history and seeing the energy of the positivity that what will be now, because you had this Yerida, it's going to be the Tzorach Aliyah. Because of this fall, it's going to be a springboard to get you higher. So like definitely that is the quote unquote, you know, penicillin pill that you may take every once in a while at designated times, but not even. Like you really can do tshuva with simcha. You can really do tshuva without the rolling in the snow kind of bitter energy. So because, you know, we've been given permission to do that. So let's get in a comfortable position. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a nigun. So if you can just take a deep breath right now, get your lobes full, 5 lobes full of oxygen while I get the nigun going so we can get in the mood. And then that way we will just, as we take deep breaths, you know, just really focus on positive a lot of positivity, like breathing it in, and like every time you exhale, you'll exhale everything that is negative, all the tension, all the stress, all the old ways of thinking, the, the old school of thinking, the outdated way of thinking about Elul. Just like get in that mood right now while I go get the music. 1 second. Can you feel the Elul in the air? As the Rebbe used to teach us, the Elul is in the air. Okay. And make sure it's a little low, not so high. So I remember many years ago, we used to do sphincter muscle exercises and all kinds of beautiful calming movements to help us really release the tension in our body. We would take our fists and hold our fists tight. And in a count of 3, just begin to let go. And feel the difference again between the tight fists and then the release of the tension in that part of the area. And just feel all the negative energy leaving you and just feel the calmness. And as you can look at your hands, see the hands that want to be so giving, so loving. And with every breath you take, you ask Hashem, please Hashem, let these hands be used for what they were meant to be used. We can curl up our toes and tighten them very tight. Feel the tension, and within a count of 3, you can really let go and release the tension in that part of your body. All the while taking those deep breaths. Again, tighten your toes. And with every breath you take, feel all the positive energies coming in. And again, release the tension and feel the difference. Feel your shoulder area. You can lift them up and tighten them and put your hands a little down. Feel the tension and beautifully start to let it go. All the tension in the area. We've been carrying a lot of load. Please, Hashem, please let all of the load just drop. Feel your legs flowing with this energy from the top of your shoulders all the way through and through, so that all the negative energies and tensions begin to move away. And with every breath you take, then move your head to the right and to the left, into a half a circle down. to the right and to the left. Like just let go of the tension in the area. And with every breath you take, as you're moving your head to the right and to the left, really asking Hashem so much, please let me always see the things that I need to see in the right way. Let me just look away from the things that I shouldn't be looking at. Not scrutinizing others, more seeing the positive. Next, take your stomach muscles and tighten them. Really tighten them, almost like as if like you're bowing over. With every breath you take, feel the tension, fill it up, and then let go. And feel the difference. And again, tighten all your stomach muscles. And as if you're almost bowed over, remind yourself the humbleness you want toward all of your loved ones. To be meek, to be humble, like the dot in the palace. To be able to build and create with that humbleness. And then tighten all of your facial muscles, your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, and really like sense the tension leave you as you release. And as you release, see your smile grow. The joy and the heartbeat of living. Really feel everything that is so at peace now. Your heart calmly beating, your mind beginning to clear. Now that you let go, now that the release has happened. And with every breath you take now, you feel so light that a beautiful cloud almost appears to you and says you deserve a journey to a beautiful place that's made just for you. Incredible place, so stunning. Like visualize the picture of the place. It's incredible. The colors, and really sense the place as if you can smell Elul in the air. All around you, the beautiful aura of this place to help you not only relax, not only let go, but to really give you that sacred space to tap into everything that you want to connect to this month of Elul. God's love, God's smile, God's embrace. And in this place, you feel it. The truth in this field where you are at right now. It's as if you see the palace at a distance and you realize that the King of all kings is walking towards you in the field, in this beautiful place. Hashem, in His mercy and His compassion, is coming to say to you, I'm inviting you. I'm inviting you for another year of such a beautiful relationship, another year of bonding, another year of unity, another year of love. And your mind is calm and your heart is open and you're really able to accept the invitation. you're able to finally accept the love. And with every breath you take, you're breathing it all in. Finally, your heart is open to the truth. Finally, you know the truth. It's incredible. So reassuring, so calming to know the truth. And at the same time, so exhilarating to be free from the old tapes, the old mindsets, free to bring in the new as the new year is unfolding very soon. Yes, you can share everything in your heart, all your bakashos, all your wishes, all your desires. You have access right now. The month of Elul is an incredible time, and you're taking the time now. Feel it, sense it, breathe it, begin to live it. See yourself in this beautiful place, one-on-one. Taking all the time that you need to share what's on your heart. And maybe there might be a little circumcising of your heart needed. Take the time. Forgiving yourself circumcises your heart. Forgiving God circumcises your heart. You can forgive yourself and you can forgive God because now you know the truth. Hashem is always with you. Hashem is always loving you. The judgments are your own creations. Almost see yourself reading this paper, judgments, and just rip it up. It's not the place right now. It's not the time. It's a time of love. It's a time of bonding and unity. See yourself ripping it and like disposing of it. And when you do, sense that that is what's happening in your heart. The barriers, the walls, just melting away from this exercise of ripping the judgments, getting that final layer of barriers off your heart, making it fully aware and open to receive all the blessings God wants to give you, all the love that He wants to give you. Take the time. Feel so free. Feel the love. As your heart is calmly beating, you feel an opening. As you think these thoughts, your mind finally has clarity. And as you begin to get ready to walk the walk, every step that you're taking right now, you have a new vitality, a new strength about you, definitely a vision of what will be, the new you ready to receive, the new you with the truth in your heart. Ve'uta de liba, the will of your heart now has the freedom to connect to the essence of God. Walking calmly, sturdily, and with strength. Seeing the vision of how you're going to be now that you have this in your heart. How would it pour over to others around you? The happiness knows no bounds. It's just spilling over. It's contagious. All those around you sense your joy in being. They're receiving your love. They're open to accepting you as you. And you are accepting them now that you have a more open heart. Hashem, I plead with you, please God, this vision will be ingrained in my brain. It will flow to my heart. It'll help me step forward and really begin a most awesome new year. With this prayer, I connect to you again and again. Take the time. See what you need to see. Feel what you need to feel. Feels so good. So, as you begin to smile through this, and you begin to open your eyes, and you see a greater reality. So, my dear soul sisters, coming back down to earth, if anyone wants to share, if anyone wants to give over some of their insights, it's like if we're bringing here, we can bless each other. Anyone, I'm going to open the mic now as we're waiting for Tiferes to join us and top this night off with a beautiful song and chizuk from her.
At a certain point in the meditation, I saw a vision of not just myself being in the field, but all of sisters around me, like just in a circle in the field with the flowers all around, the fresh air, and like Hashem just smiling down on all of us.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. That's how it's going to be very soon. Can you imagine the day when all of us are just going to be in that endless time of unity. You know, I just like, sometimes I'm so overwhelmed, like, because I've lived in many different places. I've connected to people in Ma'ale Adumim, Israel. I connected to people in Great Neck, in New York, Brooklyn, and Borough Park. I used to go weekly in all the different places, and then I moved again, and I'm connected to people in Beis Betzalel, and now the Pico, and there's so many holy people and so many incredible. I'm just like so overwhelmed by so many amazing people. And I'm just thinking, like, how's it going to be when Tchias HaMesim comes, and like we'll be able to really see the Miriam, and we'll be able to really see the Rebbe again, and Moshe Rabbeinu, and it's just like beyond my heart can't even fathom, even with what's going on, you know, in my travels from here to there. Like, it's just such an overflow of love. So many people, so special out there. And I just, that's vision you're talking about, is just the vision that we're really going to experience in such a free way. It's not going to be like the juggling and how am I going to, like, I don't want to lose this gem, but I love this new gem of, you know, make new friends and keep the old one. Is both gold. I'm recreating the song, like they're all gold. So thank you for sharing that. I'm there with you. Beautiful. I'm just going to check in where we're holding and to see. Okay, so 11:21. Okay, so we have another 15 minutes here. Hold on. I'm going to see who is on board here. Okay. And we can learn more in detail these books if you want. Let me just see. I'm going to get back to the chat here. Oh, or we can say hi to each other. Oh, Karen! I want to do a public thank you to Karen. Not only Karen Miller for having last year, or I don't know how many months ago it was, where we had in a kind of emergency situation when someone was rushed to the hospital, and she put everything together. Actually going to announce that because of that whole Tehillim thing, when there's an organization that reached out to me, it's my Tehillim festival, actually, that are putting together like many women to on September 5th at 11:30 p.m. in Israel time, but like I guess 10:30 Pacific time, in such an incredible format of and gathering of having all special women get together and share what Tehillim means to them. And I'll be doing Tehillim and as it relates to Shalom Bayis. So I want to invite you there, and you'll be able to sign up at abrahamlegacy.com/sign up. So I might as well invite you all here. But I want to give a special shout out to Karen, who has been such a team member and such a help. We did a frequency class, and hopefully soon we're going to do a God frequency class. That's an upcoming, and we're going to have like a 2-day seminar here by my house. It was supposed to be in Running Springs, but somehow there was an overlap and it just didn't work out. And so we decided, I don't want to just shut the program down, that we will have it in my home. We'll send out the flyers and the schedule. We'll have morning events by me. Then we're going to go out to Malibu one day and eat at the restaurant, and then go to the Adams Park, which is like not even a 5-minute walk there, and have a group gathering there. And then the next day, we're going to do the same thing. In the morning, we're going to have events by me. Then we're going to go out to lunch, I think, and then go to Kent Park and do a group gathering there. And then in the evenings, actually, after dinner, which we're all going to have dinner together at different places as well, we'll have night events. The first night will be in Beis B'Tzalel. Will be at 9 p.m. And the second night will be at with Beverly Wood Shul at one of the congregants' home. We'll keep you posted with all the information and the addresses and the itinerary. I can't wait. Us soul sisters in the field, like, and just getting together, like, you know, there's no more sleep available in my room, in my home. I was thinking like even squeezing people in my room, but we're open to the public, free. Everyone can join. They can come to my home. People can give donations. Organization I have sane, and we'll just like have that, you know, women in the field together, and you know, like slumber party and outings, and just enjoy each other's company and inspire one another. So that's upcoming. Wednesday is a marriage class. It's at, I think, Hoso, I can't remember, but I'll post that up. You can look it on Facebook. And again, back to the shout out to Karen, because I don't know why I jumped from that to that. Again, it's getting late here, but has been helping me with incredible like journeys with frequency healing, and now she's gotten me involved. And finally, after 10 years, asked Eliza and many other people how I wanted to get the Kagan water. She came all the way from, okay, maybe I should mention, because then everyone else will want her to come to her house, and help me set it up. And I just cannot, like, I just became so like beyond blown away of her kindness and her help for SANE and all that we've been doing together for our nonprofit organization and her help. So thank you, Karen. I just want to also give you, both Karens, and of course, Hannah, always a thank you for your help. So I'm gonna, since we have a couple more minutes, I'm just gonna have her text me when she is available to start. And amen. Okay, so some of the incredible teachings and the Rebbe's teachings of how we can do tshuva, ila'ah, and be happy and reach, like if we're going to do tshuva on anything in this Elul time, okay, is to be God conscious. That was the title of this class here. So like the only real way to move away from self is, again, to try your best to be subsumed, like to like remove yourself, to like be so filled up in your mindsets of how great God is and focus on Hashem that you have no time to think about yourself. Remember the story, this chassid started crying as he was at his deathbed. I think it was actually not a chassid, a rebbe. Was it the Berdichev rebbe? I don't remember which exactly one it was. And they said, why are you crying? And he goes, I don't even know which way I'm going. Like, what? You don't know which way you're going? Like, you're such a tzaddik. You're such a tzaddik ador. Like, what's the question? And he said, I just never had time to really think about myself to see where I can improve. And maybe I'm not, you know, like maybe I didn't do things right. Like, he was so busy, you know, in Devekas and helping others. So the Rebbe actually says that there's a pasuk that says, Merubim Sarche Amcha, and excuse my pronunciation, but which in Hebrew is translated, the needs of your people are like grand, like numerous, merubim, it's like so much. Why? Because their understanding is scant. Meaning because if they really understood how much blessings they have in their life, they really understood like everything God does for you. You know, you see, you can speak, you can hear, you know, whatever blessings you do have, you know. And the more you understand, like how everything is an undeserved gift, really, like how much Hashem gives you, then like you wouldn't have any, like, you wouldn't have any demands, you wouldn't have any qualms, you wouldn't have any, like, you know, any feelings that you're lacking, because you're so infused with gratitude that, like, you know, you have no time to even think of what you don't have or what's wrong or what's not going right. So, and that's why, as we said earlier, when someone has such a grand level of wisdom and understanding of really, like, I'm just a dot in the palace, and like I have so much that God has given me, that it gives me the power to have that good-heartedness, because my heart is so filled with gratitude. My knowing heart feels so thankful to Hashem that I'm capable of just always celebrating, always being in a good mood, because Hashem does so many favors for me. And there's incredible, like, teaching that the Rebbe brings out on David HaMelech. So beautiful. And it's so interesting, because if you read it one way, you think like, wow, you know, if you read it as it's stated, you might question, like, why is he saying such a thing? Because as David HaMelech was known, and the whole story was that he was coming back, and Michal, his wife, was watching him, and he was dancing and dancing and prancing, and it says here, excessively dancing and covering, and it was unbounded joy, and he was manifesting it in the way he was moving his body. And Michal was like concerned, like, this is not dignified behavior. You're a king. They should see you in your royalty and your dignity, and your, like, she was like shocked. How could you behave that way? And so David HaMelech actually stated in a response to his wife, as he, you know, having been in such a devekus with Hashem and in such a state of, like, divine joy. It says here that David said, he said to Michal that Hashem chose me over your father. You know, like, what are you talking about? You know, if you think this sentence, how it seemingly is arrogant, seemingly, it seems like, what? You're like, say that, you know, God chose me, but to, like, show Michal, like, some kind of bitter almost sentence against her father seems kind of strange. So what was David HaMelech trying to portray to Michal? That what he was doing was right on, and that she shouldn't judge him unfavorably? He was saying that Shaul's divine service was structured according to logic and reasoning, meaning, you know, the whole story when Hashem told Shaul to destroy, you know, the property of Amalek, and Shaul thought with his own logic and didn't, like, take into account that God knows what he's doing, and God is, like, telling you what to do for the betterment and of the future. He decided to keep the sheep, and he decided to keep the cattle. So when he said, you know, God chose me over your father, he was saying to Michal, because Shaul followed his logic, and because he didn't go above rationality, like we were talking earlier, then the kingship was taken from him, and it was given to me. And me dancing like this is showing you that I'm not gonna, like, be limited by intellect and not limit my service of Hashem. Like, oh, I have to be a proper king and I have to be, like, royal and dignified. Like, no, I'm letting loose, in a sense. I'm letting go. I've had such a chance to override my intellect and serve Hashem like with devekas, with joy. And he then continued and he said, I will hold myself even more lightly esteemed, and I will be humble, unrestrained by reason, as we were talking about before in the class earlier, that we want to get to this place of being like using our rational intellect to a certain extent when we meditate and when we, pray and when we learn, because we have to use our rational mind and our faculty of imagination in whatever way we can, and using our mind to the max. That's why, when David HaMelech was passing on, he said to his son, Da et Hashem Elokecha, you should know your father, the God of your father. Meaning, use your mind. But yet there's something more that we have to attain and move away from our rational mind that seems to cause some havoc sometimes when we, when it steers us away from happiness. So as stated here, in this way, we can reach a level of happiness because we're moving away from that limited mindset. And then it continues, and unfortunately, what happened to Michal, because she judged him so unfavorably and looked down at him, like kind of almost, it had its ripple effect, unfortunately. So Baruch Hashem, it's incredible when you go into the details of how much your happiness actually causes so much happiness above, because there's a sentence that says that God is your shadow, meaning that just you walk into the room and everyone will see you smile and you're you're so bubbly and so happy, it's contagious. And it actually happens to be that there's so many people that are going to be influenced by your energy. Well, guess what? Know that your happiness down here causes such an effect above. Hashem then happens to then be so, influence. It's contagious up there too. It just doesn't stay down here. That's why the pasuk says from the Baal Shem Tov, God is your shadow. Just like a shadow follows all of his motions, so too God shadows our actions. And the conduct that a person does down here calls forth a corresponding divine revelation accordingly. So when we break our own barriers and bring out joy, as one of the Breslov teachings is, you see a very sad person maybe in a wedding. They're not really having a good time. They might even have a bitter face. So they grab that person. They'll put him in the middle of a circle. They'll break him until he starts dancing, and forcing him. And then in the beginning, you might force, okay, you can't get out of the circle. And then eventually he's happy and he's really dancing in a happy way, like Emes. So when we, in the beginning, we fake it till we make it, we force it. And then what happens? We bring out this inner core, which then motivates God to bring out his inner core, so to speak, and break through his barriers of exile, because he's in exile. He's concealed, and his presence he wants to bring down in this world. That's why it says, Simcha breaks through all barriers, like the barriers up above that's blocking Mashiach's full revelation. And that's why Mashiach is the descendant of Peretz. And that's why he's called HaPoretz, the one who breaks through. For Mashiach will break through all the barriers and limitations. And Simcha will bring the person into that contact with that essential godly potential that enables all of the inner essence of our soul to come out. And it brings about the redemption. So that's why in the Megillah it says that, like, you know, when Mordechai was at the palace with sackcloth, and Esther just ran to get her servants to, like, say, tell him to take off the sackcloth. You can't be in the presence of the king with the sackcloth. So the Rebbe teaches us that this is a lesson for us. We're in the king's palace. We can't be with sadness and heartache, and, like, it's not respectful. It's not, you know, we're not giving respect, all due respect. Imagine you're having a wedding and someone starts crying to you at your wedding and crying to you. And you're like, wait a minute, it's my day of simcha now. Why are you crying to me at my wedding? So it's like God's wedding. Every day is God's wedding. And every day we're at the king's palace. And every day, even in the Chodesh Elul, we're in the field with Hashem. And we want to show our countenance of joy. We want to show our love and our happiness that he loves us. And this actually helps us really come to a place of being able to arouse God's joy, because he is our shadow. You know, and this is the power of happiness. And we know that Torah study leads us to this happiness. And Torah study is tshuva ila'ah. It's the highest level of tshuva. It's such a high rung. It's a cleaving of spirit to spirit, especially you speak the words of Torah. It's so lofty. It's like kissing Hashem. Also in prayer. My goodness, like, it just brings the heart to joy. And we see here that when we're besimcha and we are connected to Hashem in this way, like, we've gone, like, away from our rational mind. So God goes away from his rational mind, as it were, and all the dinim and cheshbonos and all those kind of things. It's not a reality. Through simcha, there's no such thing. It just melts away. So much amazing teachings here. Just quickly reviewing here as I'm skimming through some of the main points. It says here that our tshuva, when we have this tshuva with joy and good deeds, the tshuva of this order of happiness leads to good deeds. It leads to us with an expansive heart of a willingness to do more for Hashem, to do more to connect to Hashem. You know, that the light of Torah then begins to shine into these deeds. That's why it says tshuva and good deeds, because through this type of joy of wanting to be close to Hashem, then every deed has an extra light and an extra illumination. It's called me'or shebatorah. This power of our knowledge of Torah, allowing us to be happy in tshuva, because we're, like, learning more, we're praying more, then that actually injects every deed with such a light. And that's why it says, do not read fortunate. There's a pasuk that says that the supporters of Torah, says their efforts will be highlighted in an interpretation, v'tomcheha me'ushar, meaning the people who support the Torah, like people who give tzedakah, and you support someone who's a Torah scholar, you support a yeshiva, you support people who are learning Torah, don't read me'ushar, fortunate, rather transpose the letters to the phrase mirosho, from its head. That, let's say you give that charity for the sake of what this Torah institution or this person learning Torah, meaning the head of the Torah, like the power of the Torah, the essence, like the head and the brain is the essence of our whole body. It makes everything function. By allowing them to study Torah, that then the head will shine for the person supporting them, for all of Am Yisrael and all the world, actually, because this will bring the redemption closer. So we have a lot here. Anyway, I hope sharing this with you here will help you want to get this book and study it again and again. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It says here that not by bread, but every utterance of the mouth of God does man live. The hunger for physical bread stems from the soul's hunger for the sparks of godliness in the bread. That is what motivates the body to long for the physical bread. So the primary importance of the sparks of godliness that are found in the physical and are from the spiritual, not from the physical. There's a spiritual entity in the bread. And it's interesting. I was in Shul, and I've said this before. Like when you learn Torah, there's the holy sparks in there, and you become satiated. So you don't have as much of a taiva, and you don't have such a yearning and longing and attraction to all the food in the world. Like you're satiated physically. You're not as hungry anymore because you're so satiated from the sparks of holiness that's in the Torah learning that leads to gladdening of your heart. So anyway, I'll leave you with this. I'm sure Tiferes is almost ready to join us. Are you on? Oh, good. So I'll just leave you with this pasuk that says here, the ultimate intent why our intellect was brought into being leads us to the realization that intellect's purpose is to be subsumed in the service of God that transcends intellect. Rising above the limits of one's intellect empowers the person to cast away the boundaries and limitations of the physical being. Allows the person to cast away the boundaries and limitations of his animal soul, and even the boundaries and limitations of his godly soul, and allowing the person to accept the yoke of God's service. And through this, he draws down happiness to his soul and to the world at large. Wow. Let's sing. Na, 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 na. This is going to be a time for such celebration. Please, God, in the merit of this class, of all of us getting together, Tiferes, my soul sister, we did some Farbrengens together in person. We did some Farbrengens together on Zoom. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for coming on last minute like this as I called you today. Can you join and make this Farbrengen, real Farbrengen?
Yeah, it's an honor. My throat's a little tired now, but so far what I heard was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all these late nighters, people who stayed up, still awake, for being amazing. And it's always amazing to hear Miriam, your excitement, and I love what you're saying about every day Hashem's wedding us, and we should just be in that spirit and really attract the joy that Hashem wants to feel on every day. So I don't know what you said in the beginning. I'm sorry I was not able to be there at the beginning, but let's see. I'll just I was having some thoughts earlier, well, I guess later last week, and I just wanted to share them. That it was last week was Parshas, and it means to see. And at the beginning of the year, I still am very excited, but I was very excited. The for this year is the letters for this year in Hebrew is Tav Shin Pei Aleph, which stand for Tei Shnos Pla'os Ha'enim, which means it is the year that I will show you wonders. And I was very excited about that because last year was the year of wonders. So it was like, okay, well, this year Hashem will show us the wonders. So to me, that meant and still means that we'll see the reveal in the wondrousness of what's going on in the world. And the whole year, we've been all kind of like waiting to see that breakthrough, that revelation of like really seeing. I know there's a lot of truth that has out in terms of Mashiach and in terms of health, public health. There has been a lot of truth that's been revealed, but we need more at a much bigger level to flip the decree of Haman around. Let's just say it that way. We need a big switch around. And this year, we have 1 month left to this year that I will show you wonders. And, it's just like, okay, Hashem, I was just thinking, okay, Hashem, this is it. You have 1 month to show up for us. 1 month for you to help us open our eyes to see the wonders of what should really become aware of Hashem's revealed good miracles in all that's happening, for us to really see and know this is the greatest good that our world could ever have experienced. It looks like the greatest darkness. 1 second.
Yeah, if you could speak a little louder, only because people maybe on Facebook are joining and may not be able to hear you. I know it's like late. Oh, you're on, somehow you're muted. Hello?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I need to take a break for like 5 minutes.
Oh, no problem.
I'll be right back.
So let's all sing a song.
Okay, so.
Aliza Kayam once taught me Rabbi Ginsburg's song, Ani L'Dodi Li. I don't know if any one of you know it. I know I'm on Facebook Live and I do not have, especially tonight, I've been singing all day long with my grandchild today, hours and hours, and been speaking. But anyone out there who wants to sing Ani L'Dodi Li, maybe I'll hum it a little bit. Hold on, I don't know if I, because on the Zoom it's one thing, but on Facebook, anyone know Rabbi Ginsburg's song, Ani L'Dodi Li?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's Ani L'Dodi Li. No, it's so beautiful. Like every month of Elul, I just keep like having that mantra, like oh my gosh, someone actually gave me a gift once of a gold Ani L'Dodi Li necklace. I still have it. I should have worn it. I'm gonna put it on for the month of Elul. Keep it always in my heart. Oh, so Tiferes, you're back. So
I'm back, but I want to hear the song that you're talking about.
What?
I said I'm back, but I'd love to hear the song that you're talking about.
Do you know Rabbi Ginsburg's book? I guess it's his Ani L'Dodi Li take that he's saying. Oh, Ani L'Dodi Li. There you go. Okay, I have to be careful here. No, I want you to sing your song. You're the singer, and I told me you made a beautiful song. So go ahead. I was just like, why not let us all sing in for brain?
Okay. So basically, where was I? So this year it's still the whole year. Whenever I start a little Mashiach class at my house on Shabbos, and every week people come like, hey, Hashem, show us the wonders. Like we're gonna see it. And it's like okay, we have to really come to Hashem and be like, don't embarrass us. Like, don't like put us through that. Like show us, like for real. Like it's, of course, there's more of the Mashiach, but we need the big one. We need it. We need the big breakthrough in a really real way. And we are Hashem's wife, and we have the right. And the Rebbe says we should have the holy chutzpah to say, to demand, to really like, like Hashem for real. Like you have to, like,
Amen.
What we're going into this year cannot be the way that it looks like by nature. We're not going there. We're just not going there. We're going through. We have to go beyond that. We have to demand Hashem to do supernatural miracles to really bring this world to that's the only thing we can accept right now. Let's just say that. So at the beginning, I was on Simchas Torah, was it? Yeah, Simchas Torah. And I was home with my baby, and I know these words just like kind of came to me in a song. So I'll explain the words first. And I think you I really wanted to share this song again in a public forum. Even though it's small, it's like everyone here, like it doesn't matter. It's whoever's running. But I wanted to share it in a public forum because I feel like Hashem gave me the song, and it's a time-sensitive song for this year, really, really only for this year. And like the Rebbe says, it could be one person, 2, 3, 4, what time people that can bring Mashiach. So don't think like, oh, just because it's just a few people. No, like it can be us that are gonna really, that we need to see the full Geula this year. And this year means like the last Hashem really needs to show up for us and show us the miracles. We're coming right off of A, and the Hashem says, the Rebbe says that we should publicize it all over to wherever we go, wherever we meet, that Hashem tells us, Re'eh Anochi Nosei Yom Esa Bracha, see that I, my essence, is giving before you today the bracha. And Hashem is blessing us today. Then we should really see, like literally today, Hashem blessing us with the blessings of Mashiach, with the revelations of Mashiach. It is happening, and He wants us to see it, and He's asking us to see it. And there's different times when He said we need to open our eyes. But then other times He said Hashem needs to help us open our eyes. So I guess it really is both. I mean, the Hashem needs, we're saying, when we're opening our eyes, we see there is so much blessing. All this that looks like so crazy here and last year, like we know it's a blessing. But Hashem needs to help us to see it, and that no one else should be hurt through it should only be in a way that we can feel the blessing, that no more pain, and just healing frequencies everywhere, all over. The healing should just get everyone, globally, just the vibrations of Mashiach and David should just vibrate in the show in a way that we pick it up and we physically and spiritually connect and really can shine our light and open our eyes. So the words of the song are, there's 2 parts. One is Tzamach. Tzamach means to grow. It's there's a sorry is as Tzamach David Abdecha. A sprout of David should blossom, quickly blossom. And so when the Jewish people were going to be taken out of Mitzrayim was Pakod Pakad. That was the Jewish people knew the Redeemer would come and would say, Pakod Pakad, I surely have remembered you. So when they heard Moshe say that, they were like, okay, he's the one. And with the times of Mashiach, the code word tzamachti, and which means that basically the growth of the sprouting of our own individual Mashiach, of our own little growth. That's the collective, and the collective growth of Mashiach ben David, which was called a plant, a sprouting, and Tzamach Tzamachti is the code word. And the Rabbi used this code word when he said that when we say Tzamach Tzamachti, and he said that Simchat Torah. So I guess I was really connecting to those words of Tzamach Tzamachti, and as being like almost like a mantra in a certain way of like arousing the growth of within the world. And it's something we should say and sing, and I guess we can say and sing even next year, and until I guess the growth of Mashiach doesn't really stop growing, right? Like, just it's a continual process, probably. I'm assuming. I mean, why not? We're in a beautiful garden. So that's the first part, and the second part is Tehei Shnas, which is the acronym for this year. That's the sentence that if you take the first letter of every one of those words, it spells Tav Shin Pei Aleph, which is the year that we're currently still in for 1 more month. And so that means, like we were saying before, this is the year that I will show you wonders. So I really want to give music to that, give sound resonance to that. I have a Healy too, so I'm getting into trying to get into the frequency of her. So I just want that Elul is the famous acronym is Anila Dodi Vidodili, but there's actually 5 total acronyms which we're meant to publicize. I'm not gonna do all of that, but there's one of them is connected to Torah, Tefillah, there's the Ula one, which is obviously a favorite topic, is Hashem v'yomru lemor, which means I will sing to Hashem. V'yomru lemor, a little bit how to translate that, but it's and they said saying, which is actually like Az Yashir, the song of the sea. It's the same thing, but it's just the reverse. In Az Yashir, it's Ashir la, one second. More Ashir la Hashem. Right?
Yeah.
So
Miriam.
Oh God. So
Ashir Lashem V'yamru Lemor.
For Elul is Ashir Hashem. Yeah, it's just like the first 2 words and the last 2 words. If you flip them, it's Az Yashir.
Yeah.
So maybe what maybe you could say that that was the song then, and we're coming into the song now in this month of Elul, the song of Az Yashir, but the song of Az Yashir, the Mashiach, the ultimate perfection version of it. And perhaps you could say, well, like I was just thinking about what's the flip all that? It's really where's it start from? Where's initiation? Ashir Hashem is I will sing, and then more collective, versus in Az Yashir it's the collective really more, and then they said saying the collective and then the individual saying.
Oh, interesting.
So perhaps you could say that like Hashem is calling upon each individual to really sing and connect back to the song of your life, not physical, but just actually singing more. and which is such a powerful way to connect to Hashem that I've always felt really connected to. And it's so funny because I've had some throat problems for the past couple of weeks, and like it's gone on for a really long time. And today was like probably like peek through out of the foggy curtains of my voice kind of being about because I like fell asleep and I woke up. But I'm really grateful that my voice is back and like in Elul, like right in today singing. So I feel like, you know, I'm Bli Neder. Miriam gave a beautiful, you know, thought that, you know, my throat is what was kind of out of tshuva, and I was thinking the tshuva ilah of Elul is really about connecting with love. And I feel like really singing is such a powerful way to reconnect in beautiful way. That's not all of like what people think about Elul. It's like just sing to Hashem, or just like, you know, like put on some music and sing and dance with your kids for like 5 minutes, you know, whatever it is, like take the time to really sing. So I'll sing it a few times. Hopefully you can catch on, or sing it when it's not the middle of the night. I'm gonna wake up everyone. So Chaim, that we should be able to really sing our song of our own, be able to really sprout the growth within us, and weaken the growth through the joy of song, and through the final song of the 10th song of creation, which is the song of Geula. And so here it goes. After that nice long explanation, I apologize. My throat. I can't sing too loud and still a little scratchy. But I think that's part of it. Maybe is part of the lesson is that, you know, like I have done some somewhat professional singing, but it's like that's not what it's about. It's not the quality of like how you sing it. It's about that it's your song and your neshama, and that when you really get into it emotionally, you know, beautiful. And also when you have like more, like you feel like you have more space and stuff, and that you will also feel more in touch with your singing abilities and all that. But that's not a limit to not singing. So here we go. Okay. Tzemach tzemachti, tzemach tzemachti, tzemach, 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 tzemachti, tzemach, tzemachti, tzemach, 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 tzemach. Tehishinas Usarenu, Tehishinas Usarenu, Tzemach, 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 Tzemachti, Tzemach, Tzemachti, Tzemach, 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 tzemachti, tzemach, tzemachti, tzemach, 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 Tishinas Ba'usarenu, Tishinas Ba'usarenu, Tzemach, 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 tzemach. You can chant along if you want. It's pretty simple words and tune. And the point is also like, just like, it's almost like you can see in the tune, it's very like resonating.
Yes,
like it's almost a call back and forth. It's like Just like you just repeat it, and just like let it grow within you. Just know, like while you're singing it, just like Hashem is shining his growth of Mashiach light into you and into the collective soul of Mashiach and into the world, and you don't understand how or what it even looks like, or even what your personal or collective adoption completely looks like. But just know that it's coming and it's happening right now, this month of love from Hashem back to him. So my baby.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I feel like a baby.
My baby just woke up. That's my call.
Okay. Oh my God. Time we at least once.
Okay, so Baruch Hashem, that was exactly as long as I could do it. Have a wonderful Anil Dodi Bododili sing and
bless you.
To
continue to shine your light, to sing your song to the world with the beautiful neshama that you are. It's so fun. Thank you for joining. Oh, thank you. It's been a beautiful night. Thank you for joining. We will get together in person, and we will do a Zoom Facebook Live as well at I think the Hojo, I don't know what place near La Cienega somewhere in LA. We will get together. It's been a long night. Thank you so much for joining. And Elul is in the air, and the God consciousness has begun. Let go, let God, and feel the love. Good night and sweet dreams for us here in LA. And good morning, Israel. Chodesh Tov. See you later.